everybody, welcome back to another video. As you can see, the words I'm saying are not lining up with the video you're watching because I was rushing out the door when I made this and I didn't check if the microphone was working. So, doing Kitty Pride with Lockheed, specifically with Lockheed, has been a cosplay goal for me for as long as I've cosplayed. The nickname Kit comes from Kitty, which comes from watching X-Men Evolution religiously when I was younger, and reading the Astonishing series way too young. Genuinely though, for at least 10 years now, I've always been mentally hunting down the perfect way to execute a Lockheed puppet. I wanted him to be able to move, and I knew it was possible, but I did not know how to achieve it. And then I saw this dinosaur hand puppet in Walmart, but I did not want to spend the full price on it. Luckily for me though, the stars aligned and my friend Coco literally had one that she was going to take to Goodwill. I begged on my hands and knees, metaphorically, and it was delivered to me a few weeks later, so this is not possible without her help. I love you. Obviously, by the background video, I've done enough yapping, so if you would like to know how I made this and you'd like to make one for yourself, keep watching, and I'm excited to show you. The base and the most important piece of this build is a Jurassic World Real Effects Baby Blue dinosaur hand puppet. These are available on Walmart online and on eBay as far as I'm aware. Definitely would look for it in secondhand places. Secondly, I used epoxy putty to draw out the chin that the dinosaur had to make it look a lot more dragon-esque. Lockheed has this sharp fang that is the end of his jaw, so I wanted to try to replicate that. Epoxy putty is pretty easy to access. It's at any of your local hardware stores. As you can see, I'm wearing gloves though, and please, this is a 2-part chemical compound. Please wear gloves for the sake of your hands. I opened a window because my lungs are fragile. I don't think it's extremely necessary, but I suggest opening a window regardless. The fumes aren't strong, but there is a smell, and it is chemical. Using one of my favorite Kitty Pride statues, action figures that I own because it has the most detail on Lockheed, I feel pretty satisfied with this and we're ready for the rest of the body. Hear me out, I know I'm cutting corners by getting pre-existing pieces, but I really didn't want to wing, pun intended, wings, and so I got this kid's dinosaur kit. I got it from AliExpress for about $14 when I got it. It is also available on Amazon, about 10 bucks more. Next up, I'm covering all of the fabric on the body in Mod Podge so it's easier to blend it together when I begin painting. This does limit the jaw access a little bit more. It makes the dinosaur a little bit more rigid and harder to move. I'm sure there's a better way to go about this, but this is what I did. I took that dinosaur mask, which I originally planned to throw away or give away, and I ended up cutting off pieces from it to make his face look less dinosaur and more dragon. I knew I wanted to take the horns. I had actually made some horns. I didn't end up liking them, but I saw the nostrils, and that was the point where I realized that I could get away with making a more extended face than it already had. For connecting all of these pieces, as you see right now, and readjusting the epoxy fangs that decided not to stay, I'm using barge cement, and if you've never used barge cement before, this is the part where I start complaining at you again. Please open a window. It does smell pretty strong. I didn't use gloves while I was using it, which I'm sure is probably not right of me, but however, for the tail, I took the pre-existing tail, cut open a seam at the bottom, folded it open, folded the original tail over to give him a little bit of more junk in the caboose, and I attached the tail that came from that kit. I originally was just going to extend it a little bit, but then I realized that tail would work out pretty well. I did cut off a lot of the spikes that were there, which is kind of an artistic choice. You can keep them if you want to. Who am I to judge you? And now we're moving on to the wings. I cut open his body, and he has a little metal frame rib cage on his insides. I barge cemented the wings to that rib cage. Following that, just to make it more secure, I took 2 zip ties each, and I put them in the opposite entries and exits of the rib cage that they began in, so it was kind of an X-like structure holding those wings in place. And lastly, I covered all the edges that I didn't like in caulk, because there were a few edges it's unavoidable. And with all the major changes done, we are ready to paint. I went in with a black primer and then purple all over, and then I airbrushed the living hell out of this little guy. I started with deep tones, and then I went in with a lighter purple that I used for these scales, as you'll see right now. I did use tiny bits of purple and of pink to try and give it more dimension. This is how he's looking so far. I decided that he looked a little bit flat for my taste, and I wanted to add more. Isn't he cute? This is where I bust out the rhinestones. I did use the rhinestones kind of sparingly across, but I did cover all of the tips of his body in nail polish. As you guys may know, I am a fiend when it comes to using nail polish instead of proper materials. It works really well, what can I say? Now that everything was ready to be finished, I removed that original fake hand, and I actually cut up the Kitty Pryde glove from my costume I'd gotten from Make Costumes, which unfortunately they don't sell anymore. I'm sure that you could get away with just using a basic yellow glove. I found a matching one on Amazon, I'll show right now. I did put a basic jewelry wire inside just to give the fingers a little bit more structure. It didn't matter anyways. The original glove had these internal Velcro strips so you could tighten it to yourself, but I did not really find them necessary, so I barge cemented each line that I was covering the glove and the dragon, and then I went in after it was attached and hand sewed it for that extra durability. Funnily enough, this was the longest process out of the entire build because once more, I've had this vision in my head for years, so I knew exactly what to do, and then I got to this point and I was like, oh, now I have to actually do the part that I didn't prepare for. So, the hand doesn't look too great, but you know what? We're not looking at the hand, we're looking at the dragon. So, I hand stitched all of that, and then I was able to stuff the fingers with, honestly, I used old stockings that were cut up so I could just waste them, and when he came to me, he had a tiny little hair tie holding his hands together, and with that note, he was finished. As you can imagine, being born is an extensive process, so I took him to sleep, and then he woke up for the big day. And here he is. This is the end product, the final reveal. First of all, if you're looking to build this for yourself and you have none of the materials mentioned, it is going to be around $200. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of the materials already on hand and donated. Second of all, if you do make this, please, 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 please send me photos. I would love to see it. Like I'd mentioned, this is a passion project for me. I've been obsessed with having a functional and correctly sized lockheed on hand for as long as I've been cosplaying, because I've always been obsessed with Kitty Pryde, and more importantly, Kitty Pryde and lockheed. So this has been huge for me. I'm so happy with how it came out. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together. And thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye. Wait, hold on. Let me get the rare time that I turn him on so he can make his diarrhea farts. Fucking fart noise, dude. Okay.
Glad I started recording there.
Fart noise. It happens every 5 seconds. I like that he makes noise when the mouth opens. Except for that one. That one, his mouth
except for the one that sounds like he's got bubble guts.
Exactly!
Sidekicks in LA are ready going off at work. Kitty do have fun playing your soup, saying need to pay. Sidekick got it.
Decided that he will be making the poopy fart noise. Thank you so much!